You know, I love talking about Caitlyn Clark on this show, and she participated in some kind of LPGA Pro-Am, drew monster crowds. There's pictures of just like everybody trying to get an autograph with Caitlyn Clark.
Outrageous criticism, media frenzy, and a string of headlines. It's safe to say that Caitlyn Clark has been at the center of controversy over the past few months. In a move that caught everyone off guard, Clark struck a headline-making deal with the LPGA, calling her WNBA legacy into question and sparking debates about loyalty, fame, and ambition.
One more team photo.
Caitlyn, say Monica.
Great to meet you. Looking forward to the afternoon together.
Okay, go. Come on.
Hug it out. Squeeze in close together. We'll get one right here, please.
Speaking of which, the Caitlyn Clark effect is starting to take shape. After delivering what could be the best rookie season in NBA history, she made the unexpected move to female golf, where she's now being heralded as the next big thing. But how did Clark manage to conquer 2 worlds in just 8 months? And why are critics calling her success a betrayal of women's basketball? In this video, we'll break down everything from Caitlyn Clark's new deal to the backlash and everything surrounding her controversial journey. But before we dive in, let's take a trip down memory lane. At the start of the year, the Caitlyn Clark effect was undeniable. Even before she set foot on a WNBA court, ticket sales for every platform skyrocketed by over 90% once she declared for the draft. Her performance in the league has been nothing short of outstanding. In her rookie season with the Indiana Fever, she averaged 19 points per game, scoring at least 13 points in 29 of her 36 games this year. What's even more surprising are her record-breaking feats, becoming the first player in WNBA history to hit over 100 three-point shots and rack up 300 assists in a single season. At this point, NBA analysts were already calling her a generational talent. But Clark's influence wasn't just reflected in the numbers, it was in the stands as well. Every week, Fever games turned into must-watch events, with fans traveling from across the country to see her play. She brought an entirely new audience to the WNBA. Meanwhile, Reese wasn't just riding the wave of hype, she was making her own history, becoming the first rookie to record an all-star game, double-double, the first WNBA player to achieve back-to-back 20-rebound games, and pulling off an impressive 24 double-doubles in her rookie season. While others are still trying to catch up, Reese is reshaping the game, and Clark has done more than just elevate the league's profile. However, while Clark was drawing record crowds, boosting TV ratings, and breathing new life into women's basketball, the WNBA failed to make her the face of the league. As a result, Caitlyn Clark is now taking her talents and fan base elsewhere. Enter her debut at an LPGA Pro-Am, which drew bigger crowds than some of the tour's main events. At this point, she's not just rewriting the narrative in basketball, she's also making waves in women's golf. Playing alongside world #1 Nelly Korda at the Pelican Golf Club's Annika Pro-Am, Clark showed that her influence extends far beyond the basketball court. If anyone thought her dominance was limited to the hardwood, her impressive performance on the greens has now silenced many doubters. When Caitlyn Clark stepped onto the Pelican Golf Club course, it was clear this wasn't just another golfer taking their turn. The LPGA capitalized on the moment by pairing Clark with Nelly Korda, a marketing move that spotlighted both players as generational talents. The anticipation was electric, and even the Golf Channel rearranged its programming to cover her live, something unheard of for a Pro-Am event. Meanwhile, Caitlyn Clark took the spotlight in Florida, drawing massive crowds, and once again, proving that her star power extends well beyond the basketball court. Alongside Korda, Clark played with tournament host Annika Sorenstam, teeing off at the crack of dawn and launching an early shot into the gallery. Fans were glued to her every move at Pelican Golf Club. The WNBA Rookie of the Year's presence drove ticket sales and boosted media attention for the event. After the round, she was swarmed for autographs, and with an endorsement deal from Gainbridge, the LPGA tournament's sponsor, and a role in a women's leadership summit, it was clear her presence was far from casual. While Clark insists that golf is her escape, her single long-range putt left fans wondering, is she just playing for fun, or is she quietly taking over yet another sport? One thing is clear, the LPGA is thriving on Caitlyn Clark's star power in a way the WNBA could only dream of. The media and golf elite couldn't stop singing her praises. 8-time LPGA champion Nelly Korda, who played alongside Clark, had nothing but admiration for her after the game, praising her skills and presence on the course.
It was so amazing. She's so sweet, so nice. It was nice to kind of get to spend some time with her. We've messaged a little on Instagram beforehand, but to get to spend some time with her and to see the influence that she has on people, bringing people out here, and to see how amazing of an influence she is.
The praise didn't stop with Nelly Korda. LPGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan was equally blown away, calling Caitlyn Clark's performance incredible and applauding her passion for the game. Overall, Clark's presence on the course didn't just spark excitement, it stirred up drama. Her growing star power now threatens to overshadow seasoned pros in yet another sport. Is Caitlyn Clark the crossover phenom golf never knew it needed? Or is this a sign that women's sports are evolving faster than their leagues can keep up? At this point, it's clear Clark isn't slowing down anytime soon. However, not everyone is cheering for Caitlyn Clark's meteoric rise. While Korda and Monahan praised her for uniting fans across sports, insiders in the WNBA are reportedly seething over her crossover success. The LPGA's full-court press to spotlight Clark has left some in the WNBA feeling left behind. Insiders claim league officials are frustrated, not only by the LPGA's success, but also because the WNBA has failed to fully capitalize on Clark's star power. Social media lit up with clips of her swings, and national basketball and golf media flocked to the event. Tournament host and golf legend Annika Sorenstam captured the moment perfectly, highlighting Clark's undeniable impact on the sport. For better or worse, Caitlyn Clark is rewriting the playbook for crossover stardom and shaking up women's sports in the process. Despite questions about her commitment to golf, it was revealed she's been swinging clubs since childhood. After making her 2023 debut at the John Deere Classic alongside major champion Zach Johnson, Clark's appearance at the Pelican Golf Club proved one thing: her crossover appeal is no fluke. Meanwhile, WNBA enthusiasts are rumored to feel overshadowed by Clark's dominance on the golf course, despite her record-breaking rookie season on the basketball court. While golf fans flock to see her tee off and whispers of a potential LPGA contract swirl, WNBA fans are left asking why their league hasn't given Clark the same level of attention. Take her Rookie of the Year award, for example. Rather than a grand celebration for her groundbreaking achievements, it was handed out in a nearly empty arena with little fanfare, a baffling move for someone who has done more to elevate the league in one season than most players do in a career. As the buzz around Clark's golf ventures intensifies, the WNBA's failure to capitalize on her star power becomes increasingly obvious. The LPGA has done what the WNBA couldn't. They turned Caitlyn Clark's star power into a game changer. But here's the irony. Caitlyn's rise should be a win for everyone. She has brought unprecedented attention to women's sports. Yet, while the LPGA embraced the moment and ran with it, the WNBA stayed stuck in its old ways, hesitant, overly cautious, and failing to seize the bold opportunity. When a male NBA or NFL star steps into another sport, social media explodes with hype. This was the WNBA's chance to do the same, celebrate Clark, ride the wave of excitement, and prove they can champion their biggest stars. Instead, they fumbled. Now, the league finds itself at a crossroads, grappling with a familiar issue: how to balance promoting standout players like Clark while still pushing the league forward as a whole. The LPGA made its move and won. Meanwhile, the WNBA risks being left in the dust, overshadowed by a star they didn't know how to celebrate. As Clark juggles her intense off-season training while fielding interest from the rapidly growing 3-on-3 women's basketball league, her crossover into golf raises an even bigger question. Is Caitlyn Clark reshaping women's sports? Or is she quietly stepping away from basketball altogether? Caitlyn Clark is changing the game, literally. Her ability to drain deep three-pointers, the kind you usually associate with Steph Curry, has redefined the expectations for women's basketball. It's not just about the range, it's her confidence, flair, and ability to consistently perform at a level we've rarely, if ever, seen before. NBA legends and basketball greats are taking notice, and their reactions are a testament to her talent and impact. Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, didn't hold back in his praise. He highlighted how much Caitlyn has done for the WNBA and called for better officiating to protect her from unnecessary fouls and hostility. MJ's message was clear: Caitlyn is invaluable to the game, and it's time the league treated her accordingly. Steph Curry, often seen as her male counterpart, has been equally impressed. He's pointed out the similarities in their games, not just the lightning-fast release and jaw-dropping range, but also their ability to elevate teammates and put on a show for fans. As Steph said, she's the total package. But Caitlyn's rise hasn't come without challenges. From the start, she's faced criticism and even hostility from some WNBA players. NBA legends like Rick Barry and George Gervin have defended her, calling out the jealousy and disrespect. Barry was blunt, saying the hate comes from fear of her undeniable talent. Gervin added that Caitlyn's impact goes beyond the court. She's brought private charters, bigger sponsorships, and unprecedented attention to the WNBA. As Barkley put it, you should be thanking that girl. Yet, not everyone is on board. Reggie Miller sees the adversity as part of Caitlyn's journey, arguing that every rookie must prove themselves. Kevin Garnett echoed that sentiment, framing the extra defensive attention and hard fouls as a sign of respect. They both believe these challenges will only make her stronger. The controversy around Caitlyn reached a new level when she was left off the U.S. Olympic roster. Critics like Paul Pierce argued it was a missed opportunity for the sport, while others, like Dwight Howard, saw it differently. Howard suggested the break might have been a blessing in disguise, giving Caitlyn time to recharge and dominate in the second half of the season. Through it all, Caitlyn has stayed focused. Her game has grown faster, sharper, and even more electrifying. Legends like Shaquille O'Neal have praised her ability to silence critics with her play. Shaq, in his signature style, summed it up perfectly. If I say you're not gonna hit that shot and you hit it anyway, you're the truth. What's remarkable is how much Caitlyn has already done for women's basketball. Magic Johnson, who has an ownership stake in the WNBA, compared her to young stars like Angel Reese, saying players like Caitlyn are shaping the league's future. Magic also pointed out that it's not just about Caitlyn being the most popular player. It's about her potential to reach the very top, just like he and Larry Bird once did. Even with all the challenges and noise, Caitlyn's journey has been nothing short of transformative. She's bringing in fans, raising the league's profile, and proving that women's basketball is a force to be reckoned with. As Charles Barkley said, the WNBA owes her a lot for what she's done for the game. Caitlyn Clark is not just a rising star, she's a trailblazer. Her ability to thrive under pressure, elevate the sport, and handle adversity with grace is why basketball legends, fans, and critics alike are rooting for her. Whether it's breaking records or changing perceptions, Caitlyn is building a legacy that will be talked about for years to come. Is the WNBA racist? Some would say so, but let's discuss some facts and numbers first. By all means, this was the best year the WNBA has ever had. They set an all-time record for total television viewers, reaching 54 million people. They also set an all-time record for the number of broadcasts that hit at least 1 million viewers. The league saw its highest total attendance in more than 2 decades, with a massive 50% increase compared to last year. The All-Star Game broke new ground with a staggering 10 million fan votes, a more than 500% increase from the previous year. The Indiana Fever, the team Caitlyn Clark plays for, managed to set an all-time single-season attendance record for a WNBA team. Beyond that, the league saw a 350% year-over-year growth in subscriptions to their paid streaming service. Add to that more social media engagement, more sellout crowds, more news coverage, and more merchandise sales than ever before. It's the kind of season that WNBA executives likely never imagined was possible. Now, given all these remarkable achievements, how much money do you think the WNBA made this year? How much revenue could such a groundbreaking season bring in? What kind of profit do you think they were able to achieve? Earlier in the year, there were reports suggesting that the WNBA's finances weren't looking great, and now that the final numbers are in, those estimates have proven to be pretty accurate. According to the New York Post, the WNBA lost $40 million this year. Yes, during its best season ever, the league still managed to operate at a loss of $40 million. They exceeded nearly every metric for growth and engagement, and yet failed to turn a profit. This isn't just a bad year financially, it's a pattern. The WNBA has never been profitable in its entire history, and at this point, it's difficult to see how that could ever change. It's a concept fundamentally at odds with reality, because the majority of Americans simply aren't interested in watching women's basketball. Even during a record-breaking year like this one, the numbers show that interest still isn't enough to sustain the league financially. This backdrop makes Caitlyn Clark's recent interview with Time magazine particularly interesting. Time, which still exists, recently named Clark their Athlete of the Year and featured her on the cover. In the article, Clark made a statement that's simultaneously revealing and controversial. Here's the part that stands out, directly from Time magazine. "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege," says Clark. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. There are 2 things happening here. First, Clark is crediting black women with building the WNBA. Without them, she argues, the league wouldn't exist. While this might be intended as a compliment, it's a bit like praising someone for founding a business that consistently loses millions of dollars. However, even this claim isn't entirely accurate. The WNBA was built and is still financially sustained by the NBA. Without the NBA's funding and support, the WNBA wouldn't exist at all. She goes further to say that Black women deserve to be elevated and celebrated, which makes it clear why she's saying this. She's protecting her endorsements and her status in the WNBA by endorsing a narrative that aligns with modern progressive ideals. What's interesting is that Clark's words come after enduring a season in which she faced relentless abuse on the court. Whether it was being knocked over, poked in the eye, or shoulder-checked, Clark was repeatedly targeted, and in some cases even taunted afterward. Yet, despite this treatment, she's out here claiming that she has privilege. As a white woman in the WNBA, her experience suggests anything but privilege. What she does have is undeniable talent. Clark set records as a rookie, including the most points, the most assists, and becoming the fastest player to reach 300 points. Her performance is the reason she's a standout, not her race. However, her willingness to embrace the narrative of privilege, even after the way she was treated on the court, raises questions about whether she's doing so out of conviction or necessity. The WNBA, for all its growth and engagement, remains a business with fundamental issues. Even in its best year, it couldn't come close to profitability. Clark's commentary highlights the league's reliance on all players, but doesn't address the underlying problem. The WNBA is asking for an audience that largely doesn't exist. The record-breaking engagement figures show progress, but they also show limits. A majority of Americans still aren't tuning in, even when the league reaches its peak. In the end, the WNBA's challenges go far beyond racial dynamics or privilege. The league's financial woes point to a deeper issue: its inability to convert interest into sustainable revenue. Caitlyn Clark's remarks may spark conversations, but they don't change the reality that the WNBA is, at its core, a business struggling to justify its existence in the sports market. Here's a story you might not hear much about, but it says a lot about the state of the WNBA and the dynamics within its teams. Just recently, Temi Fogbenley, a talented forward and seasoned international player, was released by the Indiana Fever. On paper, it might look like just another roster change, but the reasons behind her departure and the treatment she endured paint a much more complicated picture. Temi always had a strong bond with Caitlyn Clark during her time with the team, but rumors have long swirled about Nalissa Smith's alleged mistreatment of both players. Could this be the real reason behind Temi's departure? To understand the full story, we need to dig deeper into how it all unfolded. Let's start with her history. Temi Fogbenley isn't just any player. Born in Baltimore, raised in the UK, and a Harvard graduate, she's had a storied career both on and off the court. Internationally, she's represented Great Britain with distinction, even leading her national team to historic finishes in European competition. In the WNBA, she's been a reliable presence, known for her versatility, defense, and ability to contribute in key moments. She's played for the Minnesota Lynx in the past, where she won a championship in 2017 and brought that same winning mentality to the Fever. So why was she released? Officially, the team cited roster constraints and the need to focus on rebuilding around younger talent. The Fever have been in a long, frustrating rebuild phase, and Fogbenley's veteran status likely made her a target. But there's more to it. According to reports, her relationship with the team had been strained for months, partly because of tensions with younger star Nalissa Smith. Now, Nalissa Smith is one of the Fever's rising stars. Drafted second overall in 2022, she has quickly become a key player for the franchise. But according to insiders, Smith didn't exactly make Fogbenley's time on the team easy. Sources close to the team have alleged instances where Smith undermined Fogbenley during practices, criticized her play openly, and even made dismissive comments about her veteran leadership. While Smith's star power has certainly helped the Fever on the court, it's clear her influence off the court may have contributed to Fogbenley's release. Fagbenle, for her part, has remained professional throughout the situation. In her limited statements, she's expressed gratitude for her time with the Fever and her teammates. But those who followed her career know that she's never been one to cause drama or create division. The fact that she found herself pushed out of the team says more about the Fever's internal dynamics than it does about her abilities or attitude. The bigger question here is whether the Fever made the right call. By letting go of a veteran like Fagbenle, they're doubling down on their youth movement. But at what cost? Veteran players like her bring leadership, stability, and experience, qualities that are often undervalued in a league like the WNBA, which already struggles with retaining its stars and fostering strong team cultures. As for Fagbenle's future, it's uncertain. She has plenty of options overseas, where she's already proven herself as a top player in Europe, and there's no doubt she'll continue to thrive. But her exit from the Fever is a stark reminder of the challenges faced by veteran players in the WNBA, especially when team dynamics and internal politics come into play. In the end, the release of Temi Fagbenle isn't just about roster changes. It's a story about a league still figuring out how to balance youth and experience, talent and leadership. And for Fagbenle, it's a chapter that closes with more questions than answers.
This Nike billboard honors the all-time NCAA Division I scoring leader. I love that.
Nike has finally reached out to Caitlyn Clark with a substantial apology, signaling a strategic move that goes far beyond merely adding a banner or placing a prominent advertisement in an arena. For months, fans have been left wondering why Nike, the world's leading sports brand, remained silent about its most promising young star. Their prolonged silence was nothing short of deafening. With Adidas now stepping in with a lucrative offer, Nike appears to be urgently addressing the situation to secure Clark's allegiance. The pressing question is whether Nike's apology is heartfelt or simply a reactive measure to prevent losing Clark to a competitor. This unfolding drama not only highlights the fierce competition within the sports apparel industry, but also sets the stage for Clark's potential dominance in the WNBA.
Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlyn Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world?
Caitlyn Clark, women's basketball's breakout star, had an extraordinary season. She propelled her team to new heights, shattered multiple records, and captivated audiences with her electrifying play style, establishing herself not just as a player, but as a true game changer. With Nike securing her with a substantial contract, expectations soared that her first playoff game would become the most watched WNBA playoff event since 2000, potentially drawing 1.84 million viewers. However, reality fell short of these lofty expectations.
And with that, Nike has not done one thing to promote her. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlyn Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlyn Clark.
For months, Nike did little to promote Caitlyn Clark. There were no major shoe releases, campaigns, or significant advertisements, leaving fans puzzled by the brand's silence. This was starkly different from Nike's robust support when LeBron James entered the NBA, complete with signature shoes and nationwide billboards. Meanwhile, Adidas seized the opportunity. Rumors emerged that Adidas was ready to offer Clark a $30 million deal, positioning her as the face of women's basketball, much like LeBron for men's. Adidas wasn't willing to let Nike's oversight continue without capitalizing on Clark's rising prominence. So, what happened next? After months of neglect, Nike finally acted by displaying a massive banner of Clark at the Indiana Fever Arena. This grand gesture seemed less like a celebration and more like damage control to prevent her from moving to Adidas. Fans doubted its sincerity, viewing it as a reactive measure rather than genuine support. Nike had ample time to promote Clark, but waited until Adidas showed interest, appearing to panic at the threat of losing her. Clark didn't passively accept Nike's sudden attention. She attended Nike's event and delivered a powerful speech about the future of women's basketball, emphasizing the sport's growth, increasing viewership, and the importance of national television coverage. Her upcoming signature shoe, modeled after Kobe Bryant's legendary line, signifies more than personal achievement. It represents Nike's attempt to finally invest in women's basketball. However, the delay has left fans skeptical about Nike's true intentions. Nike has a history of prioritizing male athletes over female counterparts, evident in their treatment of LeBron James and Kevin Durant compared to Serena Williams or Diana Taurasi. If Clark were a man, Nike would have undoubtedly invested in her from the start. This disparity suggests Nike was more concerned about losing a lucrative partnership than genuinely supporting her. Although Nike's recent actions are a step forward, they seem too little, too late. Adidas has already established itself as a brand that truly supports women's sports, making a substantial investment in Clark. The battle now hinges on whether Nike can regain Clark's trust or if Adidas will secure her allegiance permanently. Let's not forget other major brands like Under Armour and Puma are after her as well. Some fans would also love to see Clark release her own sporting goods brands. Clark is not just a phenomenal player, but a trailblazer advocating for the growth of women's basketball. Her influence extends beyond the court, inspiring young girls and pushing for greater investment and recognition of the sport. Signature shoes symbolize an athlete's star power and the brand's commitment. LeBron James's signature shoe marked Nike's full investment in him, and Clark's shoe has the potential to do the same for women's basketball. However, Nike's delay has allowed Adidas to gain an advantage, positioning themselves as the true supporters of the sport. This conflict between Nike and Adidas highlights a broader shift in the sportswear industry's approach to women's sports. Historically overlooked, women's basketball is now recognized as a significant and profitable market, thanks to athletes like Clark. Whether Nike's apology is sincere or merely strategic, it indicates a changing landscape where supporting female athletes is becoming essential. Caitlyn Clark is more than a basketball player. She is reshaping the game both on and off the court. Her decision to stay with Nike or move to Adidas will have profound implications for the future of women's sports. Brands are finally recognizing her immense value, and their support will influence the trajectory of women's basketball.
Caitlyn Clark just did something that no athlete has done since Michael Jordan.
Remember when Michael Jordan's name was pure marketing magic, turning every product he endorsed into a must-have item? Well, a new star is taking the sports world by storm, and she's just out of college. Caitlyn Clark has signed a deal so revolutionary that it's making WNBA veterans break out in a cold sweat.
But she's incredible. Congratulations to her and her family. Yeah. The crazy thing is I'm just seeing her last year when they played LSU, but she's phenomenal.
But here's the truth. Clark isn't just selling merchandise. She's packing arenas to capacity. In this video, we'll unveil Clark's game-changing deal with Michael Jordan and break down why some WNBA stars on the sidelines are frowning in frustration. Stay tuned, because by the end, we'll share Jordan's inspiring remarks and reveal the unique basketball statistic that only his royal airness and Caitlyn share. Ready to dive in? Let's get started.
Where he's like Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, probably eventually Caitlyn Clark, where it's like individual people make an entire country tune into their sport.
1,000%.
Like hockey was never bigger than when Wayne Gretzky was playing it, and it was ridiculous how much it grew the sport.
Tiger Woods.
Imagine a basketball star so exceptional that her gear flies off the shelves in minutes. Now, picture the talent behind it all. That's exactly what's happening with Caitlyn Clark's groundbreaking partnership with Wilson Sporting Goods. This isn't just another endorsement, it's a transformative deal that's sending shockwaves through the sports arena. Wilson has appointed Clark as the first female athlete to launch her own signature basketball collection since Michael Jordan back in the 1980s. Take a moment to let that sink in. We're witnessing a level of recognition and marketability that was once exclusive to the all-time greats. And now, it's Caitlyn Clark stepping into that elite league.
Making her the first athlete since Michael Jordan to get their own signature basketball from Wilson. She also becomes the first WNBA player to get her own signature basketball from Wilson.
What really sets this deal apart is how fast it took off. Caitlyn Clark's limited edition basketballs hit shelves and vanished in a flash. We're talking tens of thousands of units sold out in under 40 minutes. That's the sort of buying frenzy you'd expect for a new PlayStation or exclusive sneaker launches. So, what makes these basketballs so special? Each one is a mini masterpiece commemorating Clark's phenomenal college career. Envision white and gold designs, laser etched with her most iconic highlights. There's the Free Up, a tribute to her pinpoint shooting, the Record Breaker, marking her history-making feats, and the Crowd Maestro, honoring her ability to electrify an entire arena. And if that weren't enough, she just dropped another collection in partnership with the $15 billion chain Hibbett Sports.
Calling all Caitlyn Clark fans, 2 new limited edition basketballs are now available at select Hy-Vee stores. The designs are part of the Inspire series that Clark is doing in partnership with Wilson Sporting Goods. The tribute ball pays homage to Clark's time with the Iowa women's basketball team, and the Dreamer ball is designed to encourage athletes to pursue their dreams. Both are available in sizes 3 and 6 at select Hy-Vee locations.
Wilson didn't choose Clark solely for her basketball prowess. They recognized a rising cultural figure. As Amanda Lamb, Wilson's global brand director, put it, Caitlyn Clark is not just a record-breaking athlete, but a cultural phenomenon who's reshaping the game. Think about the gravity of that. Wilson has been supplying basketballs for the NBA for ages and took over the WNBA contract in 2020. Now they're placing a massive bet on Clark to front their women's basketball line, a clear indicator that the landscape of women's sports marketing is evolving, with Clark at its epicenter. But here's the real game changer. Clark's partnership with Wilson doesn't just elevate her own career, it's redefining the possibilities for all female athletes in the sports marketing sphere. And as we're about to discover, it's stirring up plenty of buzz in WNBA locker rooms.
And when you take into stock the fact that outside of Kevin Durant, aging superstar, LeBron James, damn near 40 years old, and Steph Curry, there's not a single NBA player more popular today than Caitlyn Clark.
They say numbers don't lie, but when it comes to Caitlyn Clark, the numbers aren't just talking, they're shouting from the rooftops. How is one player tripling viewership? And what does it mean for the future of women's basketball? Let's break it down. Clark's impact on the WNBA isn't just big, it's record-shattering. We're talking about a star who's not just playing the game, but changing how people watch it. Picture this, arenas packed to the rafters, TV ratings through the roof, and a buzz around women's basketball that we haven't seen, well, ever.
We knew Caitlyn Clark was marketable, but she's been put over some pretty big names. In fact, some worldwide, huge, international names. 2 of them being Messi and Ronaldo.
Let's talk about Caitlyn Clark's viewership stats for a moment. Her games are drawing an average of over 1 million viewers. That's not just impressive, it's 3 times the usual WNBA audience. Let that sink in. A single player is tripling the league's numbers. It's almost like she's got a magic volume knob, and she's turning women's basketball all the way up.
For Caitlyn Clark, on a worldwide marketability list for athletes, to be ahead of both Messi and Ronaldo is quite impressive. I mean, she's ahead of Steph Curry. Steph Curry is behind her on the list.
But it's not just about the stats. Clark is pulling in viewers who've never watched a WNBA game in their lives. How? by playing with a flair and intensity you can't ignore. She's not simply racking up points, she's generating highlight reels that fans can't stop passing around. Don't just take my word for it, though. Listen to Mike Breen, the voice of the NBA.
She's doing rating-wise for the WNBA what Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry have been doing for the NBA.
That's more than just high praise. It places Clark alongside the true titans of basketball. But here's the real twist. She's not only dominating on the court, she's also become a marketing force to be reckoned with. Experts now rank her as the 4th most marketable athlete across the entire sports landscape, not just in women's basketball or the WNBA, but in all of athletics. That level of influence reshapes games, leagues, and the entire framework of sports marketing. So, what's next? With Clark at the forefront, expect major changes in how the WNBA promotes itself. We're talking fresh sponsorships, increased primetime broadcasts, and a whole new wave of mainstream interest in women's basketball. Of course, not everyone is celebrating. Some of the league's seasoned players are watching this rookie phenomenon with clenched jaws and raised eyebrows. And that's where things start to get complicated.
The idea of some players being jealous, yes, that probably exists.
Okay.
To me, yeah, jealous, sure. I mean, would you be jealous of somebody that got $28 million a shoe deal or whatever the deal is before you step foot in the pros?
Picture this, a newcomer setting the league on fire, shattering 62 records and mesmerizing crowds. Sounds like a dream for the WNBA, right? Well, not everyone is applauding. As Caitlyn Clark's star continues to ascend, some seasoned players are feeling the pressure, and it's not exactly pleasant. Let's get real. The WNBA has spent years battling for respect and recognition. Veteran athletes have poured in sweat, blood, and tears to establish something extraordinary. Then, along comes Clark, and it's as though she flipped the script with one simple truth. Her game is just that good.
And what a lot of people weren't willing or were a bit reluctant to appreciate was the game on this young white sister of ours. She can ball. And oh, by the way, she was a great ambassador for the game. And by the way, she came in there and looked out for everybody else. For 22 years, they couldn't get chartered flights. That sister got there, and it was done in 2 weeks. That's who Caitlyn Clark is.
This isn't just a few annoyed whispers. We're talking full-on tension during matchups. Certain players are coming at Clark with an intensity that goes way beyond regular competition. It's as if they're sending a direct message, you might be the rising star, but this is our territory.
They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court. Instead of playing the game, they gotta be drama because they're jealous. Instead of letting their skills speak for themselves, they gotta be drama because they're jealous.
So why the friction? It's not a one-note story. On the one hand, Clark's skyrocketing fame means lucrative endorsement deals and immediate name recognition. On the other, you have long-standing WNBA pros who've been hustling for years with only a fraction of the spotlight. It's creating a noticeable rift you just can't ignore.